yesterday. Quite the morning today. Whew, man, I got done. Debbie's gone. I'm starting to think of going out the door, and it's like, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, and then I ate some early lunch, and the next thing you know, I'm out. Actually, I should say it the other way around. Got plans of what I'm going to do. I start moving around, and then I sit down to make a change, and I'm out like an hour gone. Well, my knee's been bothering for a couple of days now I overworked it Friday or Thursday. And then we went Friday, and now it's Saturday morning today from the New York Farm Show. The trip up there was epic. That was a blast. But it wasn't a blast for Debbie. She gets nervous about the snow. What are you going to do? We're out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, we had phone service most of the way. So I wasn't too worried. But I've driven these, roads for, I don't know, millions of miles. It seems like over the last 50 years. So it wasn't that big a deal to me, but the roads were slick. Something that when you're in the passenger seat and you're not in control, it's a little nerve-wracking for some. Well, it was for her for the trip. And she wasn't a bad passenger. She just let me know once in a while, that's not funny. And I said, well, but it was fun. Stop that. We went past probably 6 accidents. We were 11 miles on Route 11 rather than 81, and it took us like 2.5 hours to get up there. It got to the point where we got up to the upper end there to get back on 81. I just said, you want to turn back? Says, not when we're this far up. No. It's okay. Buzzed up through Syracuse, no problems at all. But hey, Syracuse, don't bother to finish construction. Because let me tell you, going north and then turn around and coming back, it was better than your normal roads. Through construction zone for a couple of miles. Oh, yeah, much better. We buzzed in, buzzed out, no left and right traffic crashing on us. No problem. It was slick. Well, it was slick that way too, but you know what I mean. We got up there and I made the wrong turn, and it was funny because I made the wrong turn. We stopped, went into the mini mart there that was, what the heck is it there, that milk company she likes. Burn Dairy. Then we got in there and got some stuff and went out, got the car filled up with gas and had a little windshield washer fluid to add and went on in the gate. Worked out perfect because as soon as I turned, I said, crap, I did this last couple times too. Took the wrong dang turn. But it worked out perfect. Then we got got in the place and we knew exactly where I wanted to go. Went all the way back to the expo center right immediately. And when we got there was actually space in the handicap line. We got there early enough. Dropped right on and walked straight into the door. For me, hobbled straight in the door. And they had trams there, so you didn't have to keep parking. But when we got into the expo center, I got to look over it. And the funny thing is, the tractors really have not changed. This is one thing I found that was kind of disconcerting. Manure pumps, manure lagoon pumps, and such agitators, they've changed over the years. Got a lot bigger. You're out there in a couple of, some places probably have a 1 billion gallon Pui tank. And they got this thing floating around in there to get the crust off of it and keep it all stirred up. Stir up the bottom so you don't have so many solids down there. And some of them actually do use solids to precipitate to the bottom and scrape them up and spread them later. So there's all kinds of new routines. The one poo pump there, what was it? A turd slinger or something like that Debbie found from Noonan. Oh my goodness. I sat there and said, well, that's a lot bigger than the pumps Andy runs up at Oregon Farms. And she says, I think so, because she's seen some of the videos. Thing was a monster. But it said turd tosser or turd slinger or something like that. So she had to take a picture next to the big old turd nozzle. And I sent it to her mother, and she said, that figures. Well, Debbie picks up enough dog turds in the backyard. That's kind of her thing, picking up for her boys. Then the boys have to play because mommy's out with them. So we were around the poop pump for a while. They must have lost their minds because Noonan picked an 18-liter John Deere, 6180. That was dumb, but that might be the only place that engine survives. I've heard some other people that specifically bought older John Deeres of a particular model with a Cummins ISX engine in it to stay away from the Deere engine. with reason. The 12.5 liter, 6125, 6135s, disasters trying to copy some of the ISX Cummins and MLM and Cummins styles. Disasters. But Deere's known for that. They build a 2024 and a 5030 small four-cylinder engines, hoping that they would have their engines and not somebody else's. They were so disastrous they had to stop building their own engines, and rumor has it they replaced some of their engines with Yanmar's gone backwards. Well, Yanmar's a better engine 10-1 over those junkers. I mean, horrid. We had 2 Yanmars in compressor generators years ago, Ingersoll Rand units that were out in the gas field rental. And we had 4 compressors that had the John Deere 4, which one was it? 2024s, I think. The Deeres wouldn't even put out smoke. They couldn't crank fast enough to turn the system on. No fuel. The Yanmar started. Yeah, it was near 0 degrees overnight. Fired them up the next day. We had to bring the John Deeres in 2x2, get them warmed up, and then they would start. Apparently, that was one of the reasons they returned them. The compressor generators of the Yanmar started. The John Deere engine, he couldn't even start him. Shortly after that, I was sent up to run a generator, and the guy said, "Well, all you had to do was this." And I said, "Yeah. A, you couldn't tell me what to do with it, and B, you couldn't tell me where it was. And then when I found it myself, you couldn't tell me which way to turn it one way or the other." And what it was the engine turned over so slow that the computer didn't pick up that it was supposed to start because it was turning too slow, meaning it was a problem, and it wouldn't turn the fuel on. Deere's known for this. Well, there we were. So that's another thing that we ran into with quite a few of those units out there. Is Deere they don't build engines well, but they build them cheap. But maybe in a poop flinger, that might be something. I mean, you were talking pipes that you could just about stick your head in. You know, they were trying to get 500 horses out of 18 liters, which shouldn't be that hard. But I'm sure they're getting 600, 700 out of that thing, and they shouldn't. It's a Deere. I mean, in the last couple of years, I've seen 2 or 3 just on YouTube, 2 or 3 picture windows in the 18 liters. Seriously? You got 4 rod bolts in each one, and you still have trouble? Please. But anyway, we went through the rest of that, seeing the Noonan stuff. It was huge, big. And if you go by what Andy does on his farm, pretty tough stuff. They run sand, so sand's in all their manure. I wonder if the land's going to clog up from that. That's why you got to run the ripper. If you spread the manure full of sand out there, well, you hope the sand precipitates, but then they take the hard solids out and spread them. So, you know, oh well. From the earth, sand comes, and from the earth it goes. So I guess somehow it'll work out. But then the tractors, nobody is opening hoods of the tractors anymore. No one. There was no open hood anywhere on any tractor or excavator or whatever. And the other part was we didn't get into 1 or 2 of the buildings, but they didn't have I don't think they had a large amount of equipment in them. One might have, and I think I missed that. But while we were looking through there, nobody had an engine open of anything. And there were two things that caught me kind of off. Volvo had loaders there, but nobody else did, which seemed very odd to me. I think they had a couple of small New Hollands. I mean, the off-brand stuff was there, but there was no Komatsu. I don't think there was a loader from Cat there even, but the Cat engine stuff was there. And it seemed a little sparse for some things. I was expecting to see a lot more from the construction side, more backhoes, more loaders, even outside for display. None of the above. That was kind of odd. There was an old Steiger there, a Heritage Steiger they put out, but there was really quite a bit missing inside the little tractor market all over the place. Balers, oh my goodness. How many different ways do you want to bale your hay? And now they have the bale accumulators, where you bale your little square bales and then go pick them up. Only you're not picking them up into a bale wagon to take in and stack or to run off and stack. No, you're putting them into an accumulator to pick them up like they're a big square bale. so they can send them to market to sell the big square bale bundles into small bales going out the door. Yeah, things got their own knotters. So if you got bales with 2 to 3 knots on each one, send them up into the accumulator machine to stack them, and then you put 4 more around it. So you've got 2 to 3 knotters out in each individual baler, and then this thing comes along with 3 to 4 strings, another set of knotters. You know, in the 70s, we could barely keep a knotter going. Now there's knotters everywhere. I found that kind of interesting. Got talking with him about because I got a small investment in the AGCO. Talking with a fellow about Fent, I think it was 1164 over there was a track Fent, a straight track Fent, not a 4 tracks or anything like that. And I asked him, I said, you know, knowing that comes from Challenger, I said, how much do they change anything putting the green paint on there and the Fent sticker? He says, oh yeah, different engines, different transmissions. You got to have same base drive line otherwise. But he says, yeah, that and the cab, there's some changes to the undercarriage. He says, oh yeah, it's a different machine. I said, well, at least good, because otherwise it's just like slapping a coat of paint on a Challenger. He says, yeah, trust me, there are some good changes in there. Keeps them premium. And the bigger stuff, they have MAN engines. And I said, well, AGCO doesn't own MAN, do they? And he says, no. I said, that's too bad. Now you're depending on somebody else to put your engine in there. He says, yeah, I know, but still, MAN is the engine at the moment. So that's, well, it's Komatsu has far better engines than almost anybody probably other than MAN. And I do include Caterpillar in that for you purists. They do build a better engine. Cat does have some engines that are phenomenal, but overall, the Komatsu engine's top dog. But you're also talking top cost, so you don't see it too many places. A Big Buds, I think, had a few Komatsus in those. They're great engines, start good, powerhouses, and long life. I've worked with them over the years. I have a little experience with them. Up into Tier 4. Tier 4 final. I missed Tier 5. That would have been interesting. But anyway, that was just, it makes me cringe. There's only 2 John Deere engines worth of crap ever built. The 4045 and the 6068. The 6068, 6.8 liter, which puts it up in the, what, 420 something cubic inch area. And they pump a lot of 200 and some 300 horsepower out of that engine. It's pretty stout. The 4045, 150 horse. 4.5 liters. You're talking something that's what, 200 and, what was the one engine Ford had that 4.6, yeah, it was like 260 cubic inch or something like that. And they'll pump 150 horse out of that without even blinking an eye. They actually have a place for a second thermostat in that engine where they run coolant. The engine heated water through a torque converter cooler to keep the oil cool. 2 thermostats. That's pretty interesting. But I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it does. I think part of it is to go before it goes through the radiator, it can come through your torque converter up through that second thermostat, the cooling cycle for the torque converter. But somehow it does something different for a torque converter in hydraulics. So, but the 4045, they've got a lot of different iterations of it. It holds up. It's not as good as the B Cummins, but it is a good engine, strangely enough. Some of their old engines were pretty good, but not all of them. They just seemed to have stupid little problems that going with them. They all started hard. They had a 239 that was a tough engine, but it was heavy. It was an animal. It was designed to be a tractor frame engine. And what are they? They had a different phrase for that in the Fiat world, but they had a fancy phrase that basically meant a in-frame engine and out-of-frame engine. So one was designed to be a frame of the tractor, and then they changed it. They took an Iveco style engine, which is a Cummins B clone, and they had one that was thinned out for industrial engines, and they had another one that's thickened to be tractor frame material. And even then, that's kind of dumb. Just put the side frames on there. You know, let the engine hang in there and do its thing. Be a lot better. So Oliver almost had the right idea. Almost. The problem they had with Oliver is their engines had to have 4 bolts in them. Oh yeah, the Waukesha, you had to have all 4 bolts tight. And then the engine was in a cast iron frame, part of the tractor, but it was so tough that it wouldn't twist. No problem. But the best thing to do is have the frame for the tractor and then have the engine mounted in there with almost no stresses, hanging off its plate and mounting in the either face plate mounted and a front engine mount, or engine mount here with a drive coupling, similar to some of the old Olivers. Problem solved. Engine's torque, it's all by itself. So the block goes through only its own stresses. That seems to be the longest life version of all of them. But it's harder to manufacture it that way. It takes a little more time, a little more design, a little more effort. Still, the series of engine was pretty good, the 4045. But I couldn't find anything there. Kubotas and Coyotes, oh my goodness, Coyote had a huge display, but what is that? Coyote is a Korean Kubota, essentially, and it might not even be Korea anymore. Some of these companies are building stuff in China. Trust me on that. I've seen some of the Chinese tractors. Just say no. Yeah, but I can buy a Chinese tractor for $5,000. Kubota wants 25 grand. Yeah, because Kubota's 25 grand more tractor. Yeah, Kubota's not what it used to be, and it's still the best small tractor in the market. Put that one in your hat. They had a big Kubota there. What was it? M7 150 something? Big girl. What do you say? It had a 60, forgot what model designation was, like 6101 or something like that. Big 4-cylinder. Because I asked him, I said, that 3800 in there? He says, no, that's just where they switch over to the 6101. I said, okay. He says, still, that's a lot of horsepower for a four-banger. I said, yeah, it is, but a lot less to go wrong and a lot more torque. And he says, oh, yeah, that engine runs. That's an M7 series Kubota. Serious tractor. Serious. If you're looking for another tractor, if for no other reason, one of the reasons to buy a Kubota, even over the Case and the New Holland, is the Case and the New Holland are put together as different tractors from the same Fiat company. And they'll throw transmissions and stuff from all over the world. But the biggest thing with Kubota is it's a Kubota tractor built in a Kubota plant with a Kubota engine designed for that Kubota tractor in that Kubota frame and those Kubota hydraulics. And if you have an M7 series, the cab and the basic rear end and front end are going to be pretty close to the same up and down through the line. The only change they're going to make is the engine and maybe a few things in the driveline, depending on what accessories you have. And Kubota has a few accessories they put in there, but the same basic rear driveline, hydraulics, and all of that. And you get one pump, two pumps, but it's all the same basic unit. Just saying. Anyway, it's time for me to get myself going. I figured I'd throw that stuff out there. There was no showing that I saw from Steel, but then again, and Husqvarna and some of the other small line stuff, but there was a lot of places we didn't get to. There was two other outfits in there that sold toys and had other little knick-knack areas, and two other of the buildings that we didn't get to. So I would have next year, probably that's where I'll put my focus, because the tractor side isn't changing a whole lot. Ran into a couple of guys I knew. Empire Tractor is gone, finally got bought out, and there were some of us that were reading the tea leaves of that one, because there was the people that we knew had been invested in the tractor in that company for years were all of a sudden just riding it out. They knew something was disappearing and they just didn't care anymore. They literally just let things go. Well, now, when I was there 2 to 3 years ago, and it wasn't because of me, but it was what was happening up front, I was putting together tractors whether they needed them or not. Tractors and snow blowers and loaders and certain sales configurations that the salesman wanted. And the funny part about it was that if I left and took a week off to go to service school and come back, I could have 20 some tractors out there. Almost all of them were gone. Just in a week. He says, we just put them together and they come out here, look at it, they like it, they buy it. Gone. Now, I talked to two of the salesmen, they said, deader than a doornail. Can't move a thing. And another company bought them out in the last year or two. Said, anything better? And they said, well, the atmosphere is better anyway. Still waiting for other improvements. I don't know what the company's name is that bought out Empire Tractor, didn't pay much attention, got talking to the guys about the history that was there. But one thing is, it's kind of like the John Deere side that got bought out. You just sit there and say, is it different? Probably not. A different atmosphere where we're going to screw you just as bad as before, but we're going to do it with a smile. and talk to you BS. And that's kind of how a lot of this turns out, going from one company to the other. So and some of the smaller companies get swallowed up by others just because they don't like any kind. Even in the same tractor brand, they don't want the competition in the region. That's kind of how it's been here in New York State. So I don't know how that's going to work out with you people and your Kubotas, because Empire Tractor before, as far as customer side with the Kubota, was pretty good. But as far as the rest of us in the shop, they were a joke. I mean, a complete joke how they handled us in the shop, especially the Cortland branch. Joke. There were three cranes there, one serviceable crane, small one. Three, and one of them was a beautiful crane that I needed for a couple of jobs I had, and I had to find a way around it. I said, "Well, see, you found a way around it. You didn't need that crane. It could have made the job a lot easier, a lot simpler." "Yeah, so we got it done. You don't need it." It's a beautiful Owatonna crane. It needed a pump and a cylinder, from what I understand. And another one said, no, it just needed a cylinder. Another one said, no, it needed a pump. I had a lot of downtime. I could have fixed that thing 5 times in 1 year. We had enough downtime. Easily. So you blow a couple grand on it. Thing was like a 4-ton crane. I just extended all the way out. It was 2-ton. Yeah. There was one job there in particular. If I'd have had that crane there, it would have made it so easy. Would have been ridiculous. Had a big old 4500 Ford backhoe. Needed to pull it apart to work on the shuttle. Easy. Time consuming, but easy. Put the bucket up in the air, or take the bucket off, put the loader frame in the air and block it up. Put your jack stands underneath. Unbolt it from the engine. Put the crane in the back side of the engine. Unless you have stands to hook up underneath to hold it there, front and back, because of the way they're weighted for the backhoe. Would have been beautiful. Just roll the thing out. I've done it before, right between the frames. So it would have needed a lot more floor space, but it's not a problem. It's not like I've never done this before. I just take my time. Bringing up that crane would have made it so easy. And say, what if it was nose heavy? That's the beauty. If it was nose heavy, you can go to the back and support that, but you put a crossbar across the frame on the front counterweights. And just let it fall there. What do you need the crane for? Well, because the crane can still attach to the back, lift almost the whole unit up in the air so that there is weight here and weight there. Roll the thing back. There's nothing flopping. It just, I must have checked the pressure on the transmission 5 times. Well, check it again. Okay, bring it in, check it again. Why did you do that? Because the clutch is bad. What do you mean the clutch is bad? I was driving along and all of a sudden something locked up. Backed up, everything's fine. Oh, I said, yeah, it's probably a problem in the reverse clutch. What makes you think that? Because if I drove forward, I had trouble. If I drove backwards, trouble disappeared. It's a shuttle. Forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. It wasn't hard to figure out. There was water in there. Water doesn't do anything. Bull, it doesn't do anything. Steam cleans everything. No, it doesn't. It just separates and goes to the bottom. Oh. I mean, we were around to that for over 6 months. Almost an entire year. And finally, we got to the end of it. It says, well, what do you want to do with the tractor? I said, I don't know. What do you want to do with it? I said, I've told you several times, and we come to the conclusion we're going to take it apart, and then we don't take it apart. You got a work order and time and place, I'll take it apart. Reverser needs to be rebuilt. Well, man, I already got $3,000 in the wiring because of what you did. And I said, yeah, and I could have done it for half that. What do you mean? You just wanted to start and run, correct? Well, yeah, but that would have been easy. I could have made it start and run and operate with what was there. We didn't need an entire new $2,000 wiring harness, $1,500, whatever it was, and plus my labor to install it in there when the steering wheel won't come off, so the dash won't come off. And I got to fight up in there to hook everything up without taking the dash out of the way. That's it. So I got it in, got it fired up and working. Now you tell me the reverser was bad before. I would have told you scrap the whole unit. You could have bought another running unit for the amount of money he's going to have in it. Well, I don't want to tell them that. Said, you aren't going to fill me in on the whole story. I can't give you recommendations, can I? He said, go out and start the tractor. Great, start a tractor. You had to bring it in, so we brought it in. You had to have the wiring on it, so I put the wiring on it. I followed your process. Now you're mad that I followed your process. You didn't check the transmission when it came in? I said, no. So I don't know what people want to do in some of these management situations, because more managers are running either paranoid or narcissistic and want things done their way. And if you do it their way and you're an older guy and your name's on it, suddenly it's your fault. And he can make it easy that way because he's service manager. That's what happened at Empire more than once, and not just with me. There's some other people that left that place as well before all of that hit the fan. So there was stuff that was ensuing, and I don't know what it was. When the new company that's coming in there, I hope they do better, because the customers, the amount of machines and Kubota machines that are out there, you can't ride on your laurels now. They're going to need repairs, they're going to need customer service, and they're going to, even the small guy is going to need somebody as a product support rep to stop by once in a while, because you're driving by the customer's door. He has a little B Kubota out there, like a, what was that one there? I love the B25S or 23S or something like that, that was designed for the tractor loader backhoe stuff. And the other one that was designed specifically for attachments. It was a beautiful little tractor. And there's dozens of those little things out there. So somebody should stop by and say, hi, how you doing? What's going on with your machine? Product support. So I'll be by next month. You need any filters, oil, or anything else to go? And just sell stuff on the road. You don't even need anything big. A truck with accessible sides, or one of those little Transit Connect type of things. Just somebody to drive around, blow a little bit of gas and oil here and there, and say, hi, how you doing? Just the Cortland branch probably has 1,000 Kubota tractors out there. Between the Kubotas and the zero turns and the tractors and such, please. If you can't find somebody out there to handle your product support, knock on the door of somebody who has just a single little tractor, make a difference in their life and make a name around the countryside. And you don't even have to do it just 1 week a month. Go out and do this area, 1 week there, 1 week there. There are thousands of Kubotas out there just from the Cortland branch. Please. The guy's having trouble with his John Deere. Well, you can't help him in general, but maybe you can talk to him about, well, yeah, well, we got a Kubota that can handle that problem. Yeah, you want to trade your Deere in? Let me give a call to such and such, see if we can get you a number. Just product support to start the conversation. There are that many Kubota small tractors out there. You need to get out there and get those M6 and even M5s, but the M6 and M7's got to get out there. I mean, please, come on. Find somebody with a demo and stick it on a manure pump for them and show what the tractor can do for how much less fuel. To me, it's like a no-brainer. It's too easy. When I got out of Cobleskill in 1980, I went to a Ford dealer just because I grew up Ford. I loved the little Ford tractors, and what the little tractor would do for its size was astronomical, but it wasn't a monster field tractor. It didn't have the big wheels and such. But still, what it would do was just, there was no comparison. You got that with a Kubota out there now. And at the Ford dealer, there was no comparison to their tractors, and the only way to sell it was you walk into a John Deere farm, latch onto the 5-bottom plow with the 80-horse tractor, and the 100-horse Deere hits the 4-bottom plow, and you're running them down. It was easy. Well, Kubota's not in that powerhouse category, but in the operational category, Kubota certainly is there. Your different transmission options, the size of the tractor, and the engine technology, second to none. Yeah, I'm not sure why Kubota isn't out there with more demonstrators. It's time to actually take it to them. You can overrun the green things. So whether your commitment's there or not. All right, killing a half hour, which is what my plan was. You folks be good. If you get the chance to go to the New York Farm Show and you've got good knees, there's trams out there. People walked all over to the buildings. You can drive. I wouldn't take a golf cart. But you can drive from building to building and get near them. We actually went out back of the horticulture building, and we should have gone in the front door, but the back door was open, so we went in there. No problem. Walked around. Nobody asked any questions. And it's just, yeah, we ran into a few screwballs here and there, but in general, it's a different batch of people. It's not like going to your normal fair. It's closer to going down here to Hartford Fair, but it's not like your normal city fair. It's not like going to the mall or some other little meeting place or something. It's not, it's different people, vastly different people. In fact, you run into what I did. What do they call it? Blue Steel Tool Company there. They were building cabinets and drawers and segments for shops. Yeah, ran into a young Canuck up there. Rock on, young man. You should see their stuff that they're selling. And an $850 vise there. Oh yeah, welded steel structure. Looked like 3/8 steel. You can't cast that strong. So anyway, just something to take a look at while you're there. Different companies building the same style machines, having a little bit different twist of their own. It's well worth it to go there. In Kubota, you put on a pretty good show, but you need more room and more big tractors. That M7 had me walking right over to it. But another one is the doors weren't open on the cab. There's, I know the lawsuits out there, but at some point in time, you've got to pop the hood. At some point in time, you got to get people through the cab. At some point in time, you got to make a little show, you know. I remember back in the 70s, Alice Chalmers and some of the others would put on a big show on stage, and then the other guys that were selling tractors had the show out in the lot saying, come on up in the cab, let me show you what it's got, and walk them through it. We can't get salesmen to do that anymore. Well, then don't. Pull a guy out of parts, pull a guy out of the service department from some of the local branches. Hire an old retired guy like me that says, I love Kubota. Not hard. Ferguson, Kubota, Fendt, I'd love to show any of them off up there. But that's not my thing, and I guess I'm not going to get paid for it. But you guys have to open up and show. It's time. We've made our 50-year circle to come back around to the demonstrator era. It's the only way they're going to know. See ya.